What if a city's true power was not in what it produced on land, but what it sent out across the world? Not buildings, not fields, but vessels that carried industry, people, and ambition across oceans. Because in the case of Glasgow, the city did not simply grow, it was launched outward. Welcome to the making of Britain. The rise of Glasgow is inseparable from the River Clyde. Unlike many inland rivers, the Clyde offered access to the sea, but it required engineering to fully unlock its potential. In its natural state, parts of the river were shallow and difficult for larger vessels. This limitation shaped early Glasgow, a regional market town rather than a global port. But geography here was not fixed. It was something to be altered. By the 18th century, Glasgow had become a key centre in the Atlantic tobacco trade. Merchants, later known as the Tobacco Lords, built wealth through trade with the American colonies. This early prosperity funded civic buildings, infrastructure, and commercial expansion. The city's relationship with the Atlantic world was already forming before heavy industry took hold. Glasgow's growth was not sudden. It accumulated through trade networks that connected Scotland to a wider imperial economy. As you've walked with me so far, you can really support this channel by liking this video. It helps YouTube show it to far more people who may enjoy it. Thanks. To transform Glasgow into a major port, the River Clyde itself had to be reshaped. Through dredging, deepening, and continuous engineering works, the river was gradually made navigable for larger ships. This was not a single project, but an ongoing process, stretching across decades. As the Clyde changed, so too did the city. Industrial docks replaced older riverbanks, and shipbuilding yards expanded along its edges. Geography was no longer a constraint, it was a managed system. By the 19th century, Glasgow had become one of the most important shipbuilding centres in the world. Shipyards along the Clyde produced vessels for trade, passenger transport, and naval use. These ships connected Britain to its empire and global markets. Engineering firms, steel production, and skilled labour all converged in the city. Shipbuilding was not an isolated industry, it was a network of design, metallurgy, and logistics. Glasgow became a place where complex industrial systems were assembled into physical form. At this point, it's worth asking, does a city gain its importance from what it produces or from what it enables to move across the world? Was Glasgow powerful because of its ships or because of the systems behind them? Share your thoughts in the comments, because Glasgow challenges the idea that cities are defined only by what exists within them. As shipbuilding expanded, Glasgow's population grew rapidly. Workers migrated from across Scotland and Ireland, creating densely populated urban districts. Housing, transport, and infrastructure developed to support industrial life. The city became heavily structured around production cycles, with entire communities tied into shipyards and engineering firms. The rhythm of life in Glasgow was shaped by industrial demand and global shipping schedules. Glasgow's ships did not remain local. They travelled across the British Empire and beyond, carrying goods, passengers, and military supplies. This global reach meant that economic conditions in distant regions could directly affect the city. If you subscribe, there's loads of videos like this one for you to enjoy. The Clyde was no longer just a Scottish river. It was part of a global industrial system. Glasgow's identity became tied to its role in connecting Britain to the wider world. In the 20th century, shipbuilding on the Clyde began to decline. Global competition, changes in technology, and shifting industrial priorities reduced demand. Many shipyards closed or consolidated. This period marked a major economic transition for the city. However, the infrastructure and expertise built over centuries did not disappear immediately. It shaped later industries and redevelopment efforts. As heavy industry declined, Glasgow underwent significant urban and economic restructuring. New sectors such as services, education and culture became more prominent. Former industrial sites were repurposed, and the city's identity shifted from production to regeneration. Yet the legacy of shipbuilding remains visible in architecture, urban layout and cultural memory. The city's past continues to inform its present. Today, Glasgow is a major cultural and economic centre in Scotland, with a diversified economy and strong institutional presence. The River Clyde remains central to the city's identity, even as its industrial role has changed. The story of Glasgow is one of adaptation, from trade to shipbuilding to modern urban life. Its history reflects both industrial power and post-industrial transformation. If Glasgow shows how a city can shape the world far beyond its own geography, what does that suggest about the nature of industrial power? Is it defined by location, production, or connection? Because the story of Glasgow is not only about ships or steel, it's about reach and the ability of a city to extend itself far beyond its riverbanks. YouTube has chosen this video, especially for you to watch next. Have a look, I think you'll enjoy it. If you ding the bell, you'll be notified of new episodes, so you won't miss any. Thanks for walking a little further along the road that made Britain with me. Bye.